America's children just suffered another pandemic-related setback in Chicago after the teachers' union there voted to switch back to remote learning. The move upending the lives of hundreds of thousands of students and their parents, too. And it comes despite the city's mayor and our president insisting that schools are safe and should remain open. I'm Kaylee McEnany, and this is Outnumbered. I'm joined by my co-hosts Emily Campagno and Harris Faulkner, host of Kennedy on Fox Business, Kennedy, and in the center virtual seat, host of the Ben Ferguson podcast, Ben Ferguson. Well, Mayor Lori Lightfoot is blasting the Chicago Teachers Union, which voted overwhelmingly to stop in-person learning because of the COVID surge, even though 90% of teachers are vaccinated. Lightfoot saying the action amounts to an illegal work stoppage that has major ramifications for her city.
Nobody signs up for being a homeschooler at the last minute. We can't forget about how disruptive that remote process is to individual parents who have to work, who can't afford the luxury of staying home and being with their kids.
Harris, so nearly 50% of America's schools now either closed or in remote learning. There in Chicago, the state of Illinois got $5 billion from the federal government for schools. And yet at 11:28 p.m., nearly midnight, this email goes out to parents that there won't be in-class instruction or even remote instruction.
Well, so two things stand out to me. For one, they didn't have enough of a plan to make sure that those kids continued to learn today. If it were going to be virtual, wherever it was going to be, they didn't put an apparatus in place because this wasn't about the children. It's all about the union. And how do we know that? Because the teachers are being allowed to stay home, but the kids were told you can still go to school today and get your free lunch or whatever, things that you need from the classrooms. Now, what are they doing in school if it's not safe? That's one question. The other is if there is such a need to make sure that children are fed on that day, and we know that that exists here in New York and in many places across the country, where poverty and the line of demarcation between what is acceptable and what is desperate has our children riding that line, and we need to protect them. The teachers aren't interested in doing that, so they stay home where it's safe, although cases have shown with their test results and positivity in some areas where the adults are doing what they want to do and testing positive, where far fewer of the kids are. We have that situation in some schools in New Jersey. So I have to ask the question, who benefits from this? And Kaylee, what do they do with the money? The president says over $100 billion went to the states. Where's the cash? Did it pay for HVAC systems with more ventilation? Did it make things better? Because the teachers say things aren't better. Where did it go?
It's a great question, and I think we deserve answers on that. Last February, Jen Psaki was asked if they would stand up to the teachers union. It's one thing to say open schools. It's another thing to stand up to the unions. Here was her answer.
Said yesterday that it's time for President Biden to stand up and say that the kids are the most important thing and stand up to the teachers' unions. If it comes down to a binary choice, who would the president choose, the kids or the teachers?
I think that's a little bit unfair how you pose that question, but I will say the president believes schools should be open. He wants the proper steps to be taken so that they can reopen and stay open.
So there's no assertion of pushing back against the teachers union last February, Ben. If they're so keen on opening schools, it's very simple. President Biden, go walk over to your fake White House and demand that schools be open. Jen Psaki, let's hear it from the lectern today. Will we hear it, Ben?
Look, I doubt it, but I do think we need to call this what it is now. The teachers unions and this policy that they're trying to implement nationwide is a racist policy. Why do I say it's racist? Because the majority of people that are being negatively affected because of the closing of these public schools are minority children. The majority of the test scores that drop drastically in this country because we have divided this country into two different groups of people. Private school kids are getting a proper education, and public school kids are now being held back and are having to compete with those private school kids for not only scholarships, but for jobs when they graduate. This is a racist policy by the teachers union because it's disproportionately affecting minorities in this country. Second thing, if you're angry about this as a parent, don't just tweet about it. You need to be advocating right now for school vouchers. School vouchers can fix all of this nationwide. If you give parents the right to decide where they spend their money, and they get to go find a school that is open and safe, to give their kid a quality education in the United States of America, which we should demand right now, I guarantee you these teachers' unions will fold immediately, and they will go back to teaching because they don't want to lose their jobs. They don't care about these kids. They know they get paid sitting in their pajamas at home. And that's why the unions voted at midnight basically last night, because they don't care about the quality of the education. They don't even care about these kids. The unions say, give me money, and I want that money, and that's what matters.
Yeah, and meanwhile, you have the teachers union, the largest one, run by Randy Weingarten Kennedy, who has enormous power with this White House. Remember, they were influencing CDC guidelines, essentially editing them and suggesting language that verbatim ended up in school reopening guidelines. Well, National Review had this to say. I thought it was really well written. Randy Weingarten exercises more real practical political power than any senator or cabinet secretary, and her power is exercised exclusively in the interest of public sector workers in the Democrat Party, which they effectively control. Perhaps it is time for Americans to take back some of that power. The White House should really be calling her out. Am I right, Kennedy?
Absolutely, over and over again, and make sure that she is held accountable with many of the statements that she's made in the past. And now they're trying to frame her as this hero who's trying to keep schools open, and that's what she's been fighting for. That is not what she has been fighting for. And the fact that Democrats are beholden to these teachers unions because, they give roughly 90% of their funds, their donations to Democrat candidates. But it's interesting that this is the hill they're choosing to die on, and the party will, if not die, they'll be extremely sleepy in the midterms because parents across the country, and not just Republican parents, are really sick and tired of seeing their children harmed by closed schools and teachers who really aren't having to work. In Chicago, 3 days a week was the average check-in time for a majority of teachers there, and that is totally unacceptable. And that's why you saw an op-ed in the New York Times decrying the fact that children are the ones who have essentially been tortured by this process, and at the expense of their futures, so we could save adults. Well, it's time to flip that on its head and make sure we put children and learning first.
For sure. And the New York Times, to that point, we have that. We'll put it up, Emily. They just discovered what we've known for 2 years, which is the devastating data on kids not being in schools. They write, American children are starting 2022 in crisis. I have long been aware that the pandemic was upending children's lives, but until I spent time pulling together data and reading reports, I did not understand just how alarming the situation had become. For the past 2 years, Americans have accepted more harm to children in exchange for less harm to adults. This is not a new discovery. We've had the data for 2 years, Emily.
That's exactly right. And I would just make one edit to that, which is take out the word Americans and supplant it with Democrats. To underscore Kennedy's points, the mental health statistics have been absolutely frightening, and they've been on a downward trajectory. And so the only thing that this is doing is making it worse. We know that schools provide, frankly, the majority of behavioral health care for students, particularly in low income and communities of color. To Ben's point earlier, this fall semester that we just came out of, there were more mental health and disciplinary referrals than there were in the entire average school year when kids are in school. That's student on student violence, student on teacher violence, and self-harm. Health and mental health providers, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, have warned that we are in a, quote, mental health state of emergency for children. And just a reminder for everyone that the second leading cause of death for people aged 10 through 24 is suicide. This is beyond tragic, and all this does is make it worse.
Yeah, it is.
It's heartbreaking, yeah. And the Chicago Teachers Union, they just don't get it. 50% of schools now closed or in remote learning. It's a travesty.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.